Been thinking a lot, church, about all the postponements, all the delays, all the back and forth, all the quarantining, all the distancing. This is a difficult time. And I wanted to film this to provide a little context to what it is that we're experiencing and how it is that we might endure during this difficult time. Of course, you know that we have just reached another delay upon another delay for entering into this building. All of you know that that's far beyond our control, with contractors being sick and global supply chain and material losses. You know that we're pausing different programmings and suspending things for a time, that we're trying to do our best to mitigate illness. And in all of those things, we can feel frustrated and annoyed and irritated. And we're often frustrated because it appears that the other half of the church doesn't seem to understand or agree with us. Remember, half of us wish there was more engagement, more programming, more going on. The other half wishes there were far less programming and gathering together. One half thinks any restrictions are silly and not needful, and the other thinks we should have far more restrictions. And you put all that on top of not having a place to worship that's our own, or places for women's or men's or youth ministry to meet regularly, consistently. And you put all that on top of just the everyday anxieties we're feeling, the everyday pressure that I'm sure you were experiencing. And it's enough to make you feel a little cynical, bewildered, angry, sad. So what's our hope, church, in a time like this? I'm reminded during this pandemic of the Heidelberg Catechism's understanding of God's control. Written in 1563, the Heidelberg Catechism sought to unite Northern Europeans among common truths. And it asked the question, so what do you understand by the providence of God? And it answered, God's providence is his almighty and ever-present power, whereby as with his hand he still upholds heaven and earth and all creatures, and so governs them that leaf and blade, rain and drought, fruitful and barren years, food and drink, health and sickness, riches and poverty, indeed all things come to us not by chance, but by his fatherly hand. Now think about that. What he's saying is, even in this terrible time, that he's still upholding us, that he's still governing the church in health, in sickness, in adversity, in prosperity. And nothing can separate you, Christian, from his hand because of the work of his Son. You notice the providence of God looks to the Father's control through the Son's work. And as the Spirit applies it to your hearts and lives, we can trust that. So I just want to remind you, in this time of, it seems like, constant delays, postponements, frustration, exasperation, fear, that he has your worries, he has your tears, he knows your sighs, and he hears your cries. And he's inviting you what? By faith, to trust him, to trust this Father who's the Lord of all, to trust his Son who's the King of the church, and to trust his Spirit who's going to uphold you in sickness and in suffering, in fear and in worry. So what does that do? What all that encourage us toward? I think we can be a little more empathetic toward each other, a little more compassionate and tender, even toward those with whom we disagree. It can allow us to be a little more flexible, a little more understanding and accommodating of changes and adaptations, and continuing email and communication says, got to postpone that again. And in all of that, we can seek to be joyful in suffering, joyful in adversity. That joy doesn't put lipstick on a pig, but it does say, I'm going to trust the King. I'm going to trust the King with difficulty and sadness, not just when life is going well. So we look to gather again here. We look to program again fully. We look to the day when this is past. But until that day, I invite you to patience in adversity, and joy in affliction, and hope in suffering. Let's hang in there together, church. Look forward to seeing you online or in person. Thanks for watching.